Bogey Blues.
And if you are just joining us, especially our AM 870 local SoCal listeners,
The Answer.
yeah. Al Gottfried, AJ Gottfried, Coach Tracy Roberts, along with the CEO, founder, Big Daddy of them all, Ted Bavin, All Valley Solar. We are broadcasting live on our State Farm Insurance studio equipment over at All Valley Solar. And we're going to have an interesting second hour, and it's all being brought to us by All Valley Solar and, of course, Denny Lesser, our official jeweler of this Tee It Up radio network. Go visit Denny out in Chatsworth. By the way, Denny wanted me to remind everybody, he's still shorthanded. He's working those clocks.
That's so funny. You probably listened to the show yesterday or last
He's
week.
working those clocks.
He wanted us to announce he's looking for some employees.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
No experience
That's
necessary.
funny. I love him.
He wants to train him his way.
Yes.
The Denny Lesser way.
I love it.
Give Denny a call. DennyLesser.com.
All right, well, we are here, and we're going to save people lots of money. Also, it's a great way to support the environment. But we're going to bring on CEO of All Valley Solar right now, Ted Bavin. How are you?
Very well. Thank you all for coming here today.
You know, Ted, it's I love your business card. All Valley Solar, saving the earth one solar system at a time. I love it. And that probably stems from when you were 16 years old.
Yep. When I was at Hollywood High School, I read the book Silent Spring by Rachel Carson, and that stirred my environmental passion. And I've went to UCLA and got a degree in environment and proceeded to a life in solar.
Wow.
You've had an interesting career. Well, go ahead with your wow. I won't step on
Well,
your
no,
wow.
I mean, it's been an interesting movement, let's just say, over the last, I don't know how many years. I mean, really, how long has, let's say, solar panels and let's say energy been around?
Well,
obviously the sun.
I think you'd be surprised to know that actually way back in the 30s, there were tens of thousands of solar systems
Really?
heating hot water in Pasadena.
Wow.
And then in the 40s, there were tens of thousands of solar hot water systems heating hot water in Florida. But as natural gas or other cheap, maybe polluting alternatives came in, they just kind of disappeared when people re-roofed and stuff. So.
Interesting.
But as the cost of alternative energies, meaning the standard energies, gets higher, both in environmental cost and actual cost, solar becomes more and more appropriate.
Well, it seems to me, especially as I live on the west side of Los Angeles, or not the west side, but the valley, the west side of the valley.
Do you know where you live?
Yeah. It gets extremely hot, and because of that, my bills, electric bills, are always sky high, and it's so frustrating. And that's just many reasons, obviously, to consider going solar. I also like the look of it now. It's really developed. The panels, I've seen some houses. Some of my neighbors have solar panels on their roof now. But you guys are really specialized and kind of ventured into not just the electric side of things, but talk about heating up your pool and talk about it all, basically.
Yeah, there's basically two kinds of solar. They're completely different. There's thermal solar,
okay.
and there's electric solar, often called PV for photovoltaic. So PV.
What? Say it again?
PV. Capital P, capital V for photovoltaic, which means making electricity from the sun. And it's what, if you're a satellite in space, that's where you get your power. But down here, it wasn't popular till about 10 years ago. And it's getting more and more popular, and eventually everyone will have it.
Wow.
But that's one type of solar. Perhaps seems the more sexy type of solar to make electricity. But the thermal type of solar still exists and is 4 times more efficient than making electricity if you need to heat something. Now,
So explain how that works.
well, if you need to heat a pool or hot water or something, you simply take a black material and you put it under glass and you run water or some fluid through it and it comes out hotter. It's that simple and ultra efficient. and it will never get better. It will never get cheaper. It just gets more expensive every year with the cost of copper, aluminum, labor, etc. So there's not any reason to wait for thermal solar because it is at its constant peak.
Amazing.
I've done this 37 years, and what we did 37 years ago isn't any different from what we do today. Maybe we do it a little better. There's a few little things that have improved, but not much. Same thing.
So the technology advances have been more on the electric side than
All
the
on the
thermal
electric
side.
side, right?
Let me point out, we've been doing the show for 19 years, and my theme when Adam and I started the show was to hopefully bring some entertainment and some lighter laughter
Information.
to people's ears. And then, number one, information. And this is such and I think you agree with me since we met like an hour and a half ago. People are not informed. They need to be more informed, educated on really why they should be doing what you do.
Absolutely. I mean, you buy maybe 3 real expensive things in your life. You buy cars, you buy houses, and you know something about those, but everybody's got to buy solar, and you don't know anything about that because you weren't raised with it. So you need to learn enough to be able to make that intelligent decision. I think that's what keeps most people from buying it tomorrow is they're afraid of it. You're afraid of what you don't know. So once you know something about it, then the fear goes away, and it's like, yes, why rent my energy? Why not own it?
I mean, multiply the 3 of us, which we have been drastically surprised to the nice side about the cost is so really relatively affordable. Multiply it times our 10,000 listeners here in North Hollywood that didn't know that and now know it. Coach, you were shocked. Adam, you're shocked.
Well, it's not that I'm shocked.
I thought it was twice as much money.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not totally shocked. I mean, obviously, I'm shocked that there's that many great incentives from the state and federal, but
I also was very surprised at the amount of commercial operations that are turning to I hate this word, alternative energy. We've had the sun since we've been existent. Do we have to call that an alternative? But this energy source. So talk a little bit about us using this commercially.
Well, there's a certain cost just in having a system. So if you can have a system that is bigger and supply a larger facility, it's more cost effective, especially for hot water. So when it comes to hotels, motels, apartment buildings, restaurants, health clubs that use a lot of hot water for showers, schools that use shower for gymnasiums, that can be extraordinarily cost effective. And with today's incentives, there's a huge gas company rebate. And when you add that with a tax credit, the payback is 2 to 3 years, which is unheard of in solar.
that's amazing.
That's quick.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, I have a question when it comes to the electric side. Do you have to have a specific kind of roof, or can it work on every roof?
Well, it's got to be in the sun, but
gotta
as
be in
far
the
as
sun.
the type of
The type
roof,
of roof.
no. I mean, we'd like it to be a big surface and not all broken up with dormers and things.
Uh-huh.
But as long as it's in the sun, we work on tile roofs, asphalt roofs, almost any kind of roof can
Okay.
have solar.
The only reason why I ask that is because whether it's a stupid question or not, my wife had to bring that up yesterday. She goes, "Well, I don't know. I mean, our roof is not totally flat, and I'm like, don't worry about it.
It's better if it's pitched in the
Right.
right direction than
Right.
if it's flat, but either one is possible.
You know, there's starter sets of golf clubs for all of us getting our children
Yes.
involved with golf. And a very common situation in what you do, Ted, is people will firstly start with just getting solar for if they're fortunate enough to have the luxury of owning a swimming pool.
Yeah, that is often. I mean, that's what most people did back in the late 70s, early 80s. A lot of them were swimming pool systems. Pools have always been a cost-effective type of solar, with a typical payback of 3 to 5 years, 6 years at most. So, compared, because pools take a lot of gas. And we've got that added coincidence that when you want to swim, the weather is typically better. Most people don't swim in the winter, but we can take what might be a 1 or 2 month swimming season now and turn it into a 6 or 7 month swimming season for free.
Yeah, like all of us can relate to, oh, God, it's so damn expensive to heat my pool. I don't use it.
Yeah. Right.
We hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that pool becomes something you just look at.
Right.
It's just that.
That is so true,
It's
too.
just that thing you look at and
Yeah.
sucks up money, and you're paying for this aesthetic appearance,
Yeah.
but you never get to use it.
Yeah, might as well have a putting green back there.
Might as well
It's the
just
truth, though.
might as well just use the jacuzzi if you're fortunate enough to have a spa. That's it.
Well, and you know, granted, we all go back to the financial reward of solar, but you know, those of us that love golf, we understand how important the environment is, and we understand how the ecosystem of what a golf course brings to various places, and to be able to have golf courses using energies more efficiently has been a huge impact over the last 5 years with different water sources and types of grasses. This just simply follows suit, that if we're going to take and use our resources that we do have efficiently on our golf courses, we should be doing so at home.
In the world of radio, that's called one of the best segues I've ever heard. Turning our solar talk into golf into solar and
Well,
the environment.
it all
Beautifully,
fit. It all
beautifully
fits.
done.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, because we've had a lot of skin doctors on the show, and we talk about being in the sun as golfers.
You mean
We're all
dermatologists?
skin doctors, whatever. Yeah, and we talk about you know getting cancer from the sun. You're out there for 4 freaking hours, sometimes 5 hours, even when it's not sunny outside.
6 hours if you're with Kevin Knott.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And when it's not really sunny, you're still getting those hardcore rays. In fact, sometimes those are even worse than when it's really sunny outside, at least some of the doctors have said. So this does not necessarily mean, oh, it's not going to work if it's not super sunny. It works every day. Doesn't matter.
That's right. And you typically still keep your backup system. So like if you
Okay.
had a solar water heater on your house, you don't have to worry, well, but what about when it rains? I won't have hot water. You will always have more hot water than you had before you put solar in, because you got this additional thing. You still have your backup. You have to be able to have something when it rains, etc. So when you have solar electric, in the same way, you're hooked to the utility company, and your meter goes backwards during the day when you're overproducing, and it's going to your nearest neighbor extraordinarily efficiently because it's distributed generation. It's being produced right there and sold to your neighbor, and then you buy it back at night when the power plants have an excess of power.
Is this all relative to where the automotive industry is going with the Priuses and the Tesla as an example? Is it similar?
It is similar. I mean, it's certainly much less expensive per mile
Right.
to drive an electric car than it is to drive a gas car. Much.
Okay.
So as long as you can, as long as the range is is reasonable for what you have, I think a lot of families now have 2 cars.
Right.
One for when they travel to San Francisco, because you can't drive that far on an electric car.
Right.
And the other for their regular commute, because if it's under 50, 60 miles, you can do that very inexpensively with electricity.
AllValleySolar.com. We're going to talk more with Ted in this hour. Again, it's AllValleySolar.com. We also can talk about Solar Forward if you like. It's up to you, Ted. This is your world. We just live in it, just so you know.
I'm still
Saving the
thinking-
planet one solar system at a time.
I'm still thinking the last time Ted played some golf, that windmill out on the course
Yeah.
that he was playing was probably powered by the sun and
yeah,
solar.
could have been. Could have been.
Get it? The windmill
Yeah, the
course
windmill.
that he played?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha. Miniature golf? Is
Yeah.
that where you're going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Kevin Nah, that was a good one, by the way.
Thank you.
Dad. You had a good one today.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yes,
All right.
Don't
We'll be
go
right back,
away,
everyone.
Ted.
Thanks, Andrew. Of course, back here live with AllValleySolar.com. Interesting conversation we had over the break, Ted, and perhaps people might be considering this idea. Talk about some of the great ways to actually get into a solar system through All Valley Solar, whether it's lease or buy. Talk about some of the ways people can really get into it.
That's one of the first things people ask is, gosh, well, I'm getting besieged by people trying to sell me solar electric. They're coming to my door. They're phoning, which we don't do any of that, by the way. But some say we should lease it. Some say we should buy it. Which should we do?
Right.
Well, you are always better off as a homeowner buying it instead of leasing it if you can. If you have any kind of taxes that you pay to the IRS, why pay them to the IRS when you can get a 30% federal tax credit for your solar system, and they're helping you do it? So if you don't pay taxes, then it really makes sense to lease. Now, the reason a lot of people lease is either they don't have the cash, or more likely they don't believe in solar.
Yeah, but it still takes money to lease, so why not buy?
Yeah, but if they don't believe in solar, a lease is kind of you can't
Yes.
lose, because you're paying a utility price that's less than the standard utility.
And you're testing if you want to wind up buying.
Right. But at the end, but if you lease it, it's a long lease. It's 20 years.
Okay.
But you're paying less than you would be paying LADWP or SCE. So you can't lose, can you?
No.
And the system is fully warranted and taken care of. So if you don't really believe in it, you got to believe in dollars and cents. So the
Yes.
dollars and cents you cannot lose on, right? On the other hand, if you were to look at the cash flow sheet and say, well, where would I be at the end of 20 years if I lease, and where would I be at the end of 20 years if I bought a good solar system? You'll be a hell of a lot further ahead if you bought it,
Okay.
because somebody has to make money on the lease.
Interesting. Answer your question, Coach?
Absolutely, and it just simply makes sense that if you're going to make the investment, you make the investment.
Right. Now, there's another group of clients that there'd be different parameters going on. That was about residents. Let's talk about commercial. In commercial, it's different, because within that commercial arena, we have nonprofits or no profits. There's a lot of apartment owners, for some reason, I don't know how, they don't pay any taxes. Well, if you don't pay any taxes, you're not going to get to use that tax credit you earned, are you? And you may not be able to use that depreciation that this business expense allows you. So in some cases, it is better for certainly a nonprofit who has no taxes, right, to lease, because the leasing entity, this third party that's going to pay us to put in the system, they own the system, that third party, and they have huge tax appetite. They get to take the tax credit, which is 30% of the cost of the system. They get to take the rebate, which might be as much as on a solar thermal, as much as 50, 60% of the cost of the system. On electric, it's a much smaller percentage. So they're going to take those and monetize them and give you credit toward them. So it brings your lease payment very reasonable, so you're making lots of money on having solar.
First of all, they can call you toll-free for information, which is something that people really need to get educated here, and hopefully we've done a good job this morning. It's toll-free 800-400-7780. Again, it's toll-free 800-400-7780, or you can visit the website, allvalleysolar.com. You've been really taking charge throughout the state, it seems like, traveling and putting in these systems, which is great. You're expanding. But you mentioned something even before the show started, which I thought was very interesting, that what country did you say was like all solar? Was it Germany?
Yeah, Germany.
Germany.
And like the U.S. is still behind.
Oh, yeah. And who has better weather?
Right,
LA
exactly.
or Germany. I mean, most of the United
Sherman
States
Oaks.
has
Yeah.
better weather than Germany. So Germany has gone incredibly solar in the last 5 years. And how did they do it? Cut the red tape. It's the red tape that slows us all down. It's the soft costs of solar that, I mean, when my time is eaten up trying to get a permit because the guy behind the counter doesn't understand or isn't looking at a whole bunch of petty little things that just aren't important, you know. I mean, this is not a nuclear power plant. I'd like them to spend more time looking at the permits of a nuclear power plant than my harmless solar. So,
Right.
But permit costs in Southern California have skyrocketed from what used to be $50 to $100 10 years ago, and now they're like $2,000 and a bunch of unnecessary engineering. So that's the way Germany did. Germany said, from the top down, we're going solar, and they did it.
Now, we obviously are in Los Angeles. Are there other states that kind of get it and they're ahead of the eight ball? I mean, so to speak.
I don't think so, although the state that is ahead of the 8 ball in terms of volume is Hawaii. Now, I understand, and I don't do business there yet, but I hear that there's difficulties there with the utilities too. But and that's just because, when you have a completely free enterprise energy system,
Right.
and with lots of tax benefits for the oil companies and for the natural gas companies, we certainly need tax credits for solar just to even the playing field. If none of us had tax benefits and it probably would be an even playing field, and people would choose solar.
So more solar is done in the state of California than any of the other 49 states in the union in terms of business?
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah,
we have a very active industry here. And by the way, the California solar industry was born in the mid '70s, and very strongly. Jerry Brown was governor for the first time back then, and set up a solar license called a C-46, which I was one of the first ones to have.
Really?
And it's unusual in states to have an actual solar license. And we have a strong industries association. And
I just want to point out that we're the golden state, but I'm thinking of Florida, the sunshine state. You'd think they'd be right there with us.
You think?
Who knows?
That's because Ted doesn't live there.
There you go. There you
Because
go.
he's not a hurricane or a
He's a Bruin.
He's a Bruin.
I'm a Bruin.
How about those Bruins?
Ted, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you for having us. And again, for more information, they could visit your website, allvalleysolar.com, 800-400-7780. Ladies and gentlemen, any parting words, Ted?
Save the earth one solar system at a time.
Don't forget to vote.
For solar.
It's true, and candidates differ.
There you
Vote
go.
for solar.
I like it. I like it.
Well, Ted and I will be talking more.
And a lot of our listeners, give Ted a call. And,
We got a nice segment coming up with Lost Canyons, but before we go to break, have you had any good meat lately?
With
I know you just got your new barbecue.
solar-powered barbecue in Coach's backyard.
I wanna-
Rotisserie right.
But nay, natural gas, more efficient.
Yeah, okay.
More efficient.
So, Ted.
Oh, and Lydia Ko's got a one-shot lead for the LPGA.
Oh, good. Good for her.
Still has that.
And Tiger Woods has got a bulging disc.
Yeah. And Ted's got the leading solar company in the state of California, allvalleysolar.com, continuing to expand here. And, Ted, let's talk a little bit about some of the things we talked about during the commercial break.
Can you remember him, Ted?
Yeah,
We'll
he's got it.
we'll
He's
leave
got
it
it.
here.
No, he's got it.
Sure. Go ahead.
One thing was that last year, most of our business turned from custom residential to being commercial,
Right.
because of this huge rebate for solar hot water. In fact, we doubled in size, and we did like $1.5 million for one client. That once we finally got it through how lucrative this was, they did 23 buildings of solar. So apartment buildings are very good for solar hot water, as are motels or restaurants or health
Country clubs, golf clubs.
Anything that uses hot water, showers, etc. Yep, country clubs use showers. Absolutely.
So while we're talking about that, so Ted, if somebody wants to do, they go, I'm all in residentially, and say, all right, I want everything, hot water, electric, pool, the whole bit.
Wow, you are really
Is it three separate systems that would be put in?
Usually,
or would it be one?
It would usually be three separate systems.
He's
Now,
gone from putting his toe in the water this morning to having you come out for...
because I've been reading and listening to about the different types of systems. I wanted to know how the systems operate.
All right.
on a retrofit, it's almost always three separate systems, and people consider them, and you can consider them separately. It's good to deal with somebody that knows how to split up the roof properly, because some systems work better one direction and others might work better another direction.
See?
But if you are building a new home, then we can sometimes combine it all into one, well, not one, but let's say two systems. One for solar electric, which is always separate, and you could have a system to do pool heating, hot water heating, and radiant floor heating.
Nice.
I've
wow.
done that.
See, Coach, it's like surf and turf. You understand that? Now, does that make
Why
sense to
didn't
you?
you put it in my terms?
Exactly.
There we go. Now
Yeah.
I got
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly. So if you're going to swim, if you're going to swim in the spring, summer, and fall, you can use that same heat that same equipment to then heat your floors in the winter.
Oh,
so
see?
it's where the same collector area can do. It's a seasonal change.
See, now you're talking.
It's brilliant.
I'm not laughing.
Yeah.
And that saves the gas for your grill, folks.
Yeah, and I'm blown away how
Yeah.
inexpensive it is. I was surprised, and you're doing something great, obviously, for the environment. You're saving money. There's great tax incentives, especially right now, better than any other time. So really now is the time, ladies and gentlemen, and this is why one of the reasons why we really wanted to do this, because it's an interesting subject.
It's interesting. You just mentioned the word environment, and that's how it all started. I mean, going back to Ted's childhood, to the book, and to the environment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a guy who said, "Oh, I want to be in business for some business that's going to make a lot of money. So what should it be? Solar? Well, that would have been a mistake if that was the reason to get into it. However, no, I looked at the environment and said, what way can I have the biggest impact? And at that time, way back in the mid-'70s, I decided it was solar, and I've been doing it ever since.
Fascinating.
It's been great. Thanks for having us out here this morning.
Great
Ted.
show.
It's very informative.
AllValleySolar.com, 800-400-7780.